mates! All aboard! Financial freedom awaits. MyTrade proudly presents the Navigator, the newest, easiest, and brightest fundamental tool from MyTrade's renowned research team. Be guided in your investing voyage. Get the best stock picks, sound long-term strategies, and valuable information about the companies that you are buying. Follow the light. The Navigator. Better your tomorrow. Ahoy there, mates! All aboard! Financial freedom awaits. MyTrade proudly presents the Navigator, the newest, easiest, and brightest fundamental tool from MyTrade's renowned research team. Be guided in your investing voyage. Get the best stock picks, sound long-term strategies, and valuable information about the companies that you are buying. Follow the light. The Navigator. Better your tomorrow.
Good afternoon, everyone. Welcome back to Wink. I know that we have just seen each other on Wednesday, and now I'm back for another episode. And today we have our analyst Herman to talk about SPNEC share swap deal, as I mentioned last time, and their secondary offer that will fund its fourth GW. I don't know if I read it right. Expansion. If you live in the provinces or go there, you might be experiencing power interruptions, often observes others seeking out solar panels. Recently, if you are in pain from recent oil price hikes and remember the times you heard about electric vehicles and charging stations in the news, you may be curious about companies that are trading now that are in the business of renewable energy, such as solar. Solar power is one of solution to helping us make our bottom line and ease the stress of commute and living. SPNEC is making a secondary offer soon in the market to reach its 15 million per megawatt from 10 gigawatts total projects by 2025. So, now, pusuan nga ang stream na to if namahalan ka sa gasolina. Ayan, walang ka-connect-connect dun sa intro ko. How are you and where are you watching us from? Can we start? Ayan. Hi, Richard Javier. Tell us where are you watching us from? Kayo ba yung nag-commute recently or nagpakarga na ba kayo ng gas? It's a good news. They say that there's gonna be a rollback next week. Yeah, thank you so much for watching. You can share this to your friends. Sharing is caring. Just to let them know that if they want to know more about stock market, specifically what share swap is, what happens in the SRO, it will be this stream. Ayan. Good morning, Gian Irving from Lebanon. Good morning from Saudi Arabia. Hi, Sir Dan Jimenez. So it's anong oras ngayon sa Saudi Arabia? Yeah, maraming nanonood. Hi, Clemensky from Singapore. So yeah, if you gusto nyo magpa-shoutout, just let me know. We will flash your names on screen. Hi, Leslie Marcelo watching us from the office. Make sure na okay lang yan sa boss mo. Hi, Sir Randy Vasquez from Baler. Esh Perry watching from QC. Yan, okay, nasa Europe. Victoria Limay, good morning from London. All right, Pita Sadesma from Mactan Air Base. Hello, Pete. Yes, thank you so much for tuning in. You can feel free to share this with your group. Alam ko may mga group chats yan about trading, your topics, and pwede din sa Discord. And alam natin na marami tayong matatanong this afternoon kung ano yung mangyayari. And, I myself, I'm curious and I'm gonna listen to our speaker for today. So let me call in. Ready na yata siya? Hi, Herman.
Hi, China. Good afternoon.
Ayan. So, nag-iintay na sila. I hope na huwag kayong mag-siesta this afternoon. Go ahead and bring some snacks and we will start what investors needs to know for today. Take it away, Herman.
Okay, so hi everyone. Good afternoon. I hope you are all safe and sound wherever you are watching us from. And thank you for spending your Friday afternoon with us. And again, this is Herman De La Paz from the Research Department. And I'm here to talk about Solar Philippines Nueva Ecija Corporation, or SPNEC. So I remember the last time we had our Wink event for this stock. It was before the stock listed. And we discussed its bright prospects, what we like about the stock, and how we computed our target price of 1.96. And I think all of us are aware of what happened to the share price. So it hit and even surpassed our target price within its first couple of months of being listed in the market. And then some profit taking happened, and then the Ukraine crisis happened, causing an overall decline in the entire market and in other markets in other countries. And then which which led to its closing price today. So what price ba nag-close today ang SPNEC? Let me check. So ang closing price niya today is 1.82, so it's up 3.41%. So I think that's a strong close for today. So for this event, we're gonna discuss some recent developments that we think investors should pay attention to. So next slide, please. Okay, so first off, we present you our brief outline of what we're gonna talk about for this afternoon. So we're gonna start off with the SRO, to be followed by the share swap, and then we'll discuss the investment implications of these two events, and then we'll discuss next the valuations, and as usual, we'll end with the recommendation. So first off, next slide, please. First off, backup, yeah. So first, we're gonna start with the SRO, or the stock rights offer. So before we discuss this slide, we'll first point out our disclaimer. So the details for this SRO have not yet been finalized actually. So everything that we're gonna discuss in this slide are just derived from the company's recent disclosures. So we start with the entitlement ratio. So from the disclosure, from the latest disclosure of the company, we think the entitlement ratio would be around 1 SRO share for every 1.5 SPNEC shares that a client has. And then there was no target proceeds mentioned, so the SRO price will be announced soon. But they mentioned the target date, which is June 2022 for this SRO. Now, for the use of proceeds, this is actually quite interesting because it will be used for the development of the 4,000 megawatt solar plant pipeline project of Terra Solar. For those who are not aware, Terra Solar is a joint venture firm between Solar Philippines Group and Razon's Prime Infra. So this company is actually not under SPNEC yet as of the moment, but it will be soon after the share swap that the company is planning. So as we said earlier, there's no final details yet for the SRO, but we are more likely to recommend a subscribe on this due to its attractive outlook, and especially because of the upcoming SRO, which we'll discuss next. Next slide, please. And the upcoming share swap which we'll discuss next. So for this slide, so this share swap, back up please. For this share swap, it actually involves SPNEC and its parent Solar Philippines, wherein Solar Philippines, the parent, which will subscribe to 24.4 billion new primary SPNEC shares at 2.50 per share. You can see here that the 2.50, that's the valuation attached to SPNEC, and that was made by a third-party valuation and fairness opinion made by FTI Consulting, which is an independent financial advisor accredited by SEC and PSE. So if you can remember, that is actually even higher than our initial target price of 1.96. So in exchange of the new primary SPNEC shares that the parent will get, so SPNEC will get in return 100% outstanding shares in various entities, or the so-called Solar Philippine assets valued at 60.9 billion. So actually, this share swap was not yet in the table now when we were first looking at the stock before its IPO. So it was not yet in the picture when we first made our initial target price of 1.96. So we think this is really a game changer for the company, no? And we think this is a strong cause that should get the attention of the investment public, of the investing public. So since Solar Philippines parent will subscribe to 24.4 billion new primary SPNEC shares, and the SPNEC will in turn get the assets of the parent, there will be some changes in the corporate structure, which we'll discuss now. So first, next slide, please. So the current corporate structure before the share swap. So as you can see here, this is quite horizontal. So, and then you can see here under Solar Philippines Power Project Holdings, you can see all these various kinds of assets, including SPNEC. So after the share swap, this is how it would look like. Next slide, please. Okay, so this will be the pro forma corporate structure after the share swap. So if you compare it with the previous slide, this is more vertical, no? Mas tuwid siya patayo. And if you'll notice, yung assets kanina, instead of being under SPPHI, ito, they will be under SPNEC instead. So because of the share swap, all of these assets will be under SPNEC. So I think that is a great that's a huge development for SPNEC in terms of corporate structure. So next slide, please. So yung assets na makukuha ni SPNEC in return for the new primary shares that the parent will get. So ano bang laman? Ano bang laman nitong assets na to? So first and foremost, it contains over 10,000 megawatts of development projects, including 163 megawatts in operations. So itong 10,000 megawatts, as you can see, this is malaki talaga siya compared dun sa when we first had our Wink event on SPNEC. Ang in-expect lang natin is around 500, no? 500 lang yung nasa pipeline. So after the share swap, it will become 10,000. So that's like 20 times yung magiging capacity niya from our previous Wink event, no? So I think that's a huge jump in terms of capacity. And also, this will include 163 megawatts in operation. So itong 163 megawatts na to, this includes yung Calatagan and Tarlac projects of the Solar Philippines Group, which are currently operating. So Calatagan is a 63 megawatt project, and it is granted with FIT rate. So yung rate na tinatanggap niya per kilowatt hour is much higher than the current Western spot prices. And then the other 100 megawatt is the Tarlac project. So it already has a power supply agreement with Meralco at 2.99 pesos per kilowatt hour. So this is actually profitable na itong 163 megawatts na power plant, and it actually earned around 730 million pesos back in 2020. So I think this is a huge development from our initial discussion with SPNEC, no, na wala pang operations, and then 500 megawatts lang yung pipeline. So this is a huge boost to the company. And then these projects also comes with service contracts, which took years to acquire and entailed a lot of legwork. So the service contract, this actually grants SPNEC the exclusive right to explore, develop, and operate a solar plant in a designated area. So this is actually one of the most important prerequisites, if not the most important prerequisite, that a company should have before he can operate a renewable project. So the fact na these service contracts are already in the bag is already a huge positive for SPNEC. And also, before kasi makakuha ang company ng service contract, marami pang ibang permits na kailangan ma-secure, like LGU support, environmental compliance certificate or ECC, and then some tree cutting permits from the DNR, and some other permits pa before makuha tong service contract. So it really requires a lot of time and legwork para ma-secure to. So the fact na meron na si Solar Philippines Group ng service contract for this 10,000 megawatt pipeline is really a huge positive. And then third, Solar Philippines Group already secured 10,000 hectares of land that can be used for its project pipeline. So hindi lang yung service contract na secure nila, pati yung lupa kung saan nilalagay actually yung project. So this is also quite commendable, no, being able to secure land bank of this magnitude, no. This is very impressive on the part of the company. And you can see here also that yung gantong kalaking pipeline ni Solar Philippines is not just a pipeline dream, no. The group actually has taken major steps in order to turn this into reality. So this actually really boosts our confidence on the Solar Philippines group as a whole. Then next slide, please. So what are the implications of the SRO and the upcoming share swap? So first and foremost, management shared in their public disclosures that yung pagtatayo ng mga solar plant projects, it's not really, the problem is not really with the demand or the supply. It's not the lack of both of these demand or supply. Ang problema talaga is consolidating land and yung securing permits, no? Yun talaga yung pinaka-problema according to the management. And the fact na sobrang laki ng pipeline ng Solar Philippines Group and that they were able to secure the permits, the service contracts, and also the land for this enormous pipeline project tells us that the Solar Philippines Group is actually ahead of the game, no? Talagang sila yung nangunguna when it comes to renewables. And also, as of December 31, 2021, nagpakita actually ng list of projects that were granted service contracts si DOE, and ang total noon is around kulang-kulang mga 20,000 megawatts, and 2/3 of that belongs to the Solar Philippines Group. So kita mo talaga na meron silang significant market share and that they are in the prime position to benefit from the ongoing shift towards renewables. And then also yung na-mention natin kanina, 10,000 megawatts worth of pipeline projects ang ipapasok kay SPNEC in exchange for 24.4 billion new primary share. So if you put that into perspective, so lalaki yung capacity ni SPNEC by 20 times, pero yung outstanding shares niya by 3 times lang. So I think instead of being dilutive, kasi usually ang impression kapag nagbigay ng new shares, ay ano yan, dilutive yan, so that's a negative. Actually this it's quite the opposite for SPNEC, no? So kasi nagbigay siya ng 3 times outstanding shares, pero 20 times yung makukuha niya in return. So instead of being dilutive, I think this actually accretive for SPNEC, and I think this is very generous on the part of the company to have this setup, to have this quite of share swap. And I think the winners here is still the public shareholders, no? I think this is quite favorable for public shareholders. And then second point that we want to explain is the operational capacity and profitability. So while most of our clients were excited with SPNEC's listing day, yung IPO niya, there were also some doubters, no? There were some people na wala pang operations in place yan, so parang hindi sila confident to put their money into it. And then so I think there's some point, they have a point naman dun sa sinasabi nila, kasi investing in this type of company, yung pre-operating stage pa lang, it really requires confidence na the company will be able to deliver on these promises. So I think yung concern na yon nung mga siguro doubters at the very start will be addressed with the share swap, kasi because of the share swap, magkakaroon na ng operational capacity si SPNEC, as we mentioned earlier, yung 163 megawatts that is already in operation. So instead of being in the pre-operating stage, magkakaroon na talaga ng operating solar plant si SPNEC because of the share swap. And also, magkakaroon na din siya ng magre-record agad siya ng net income earlier as expected, kasi ayun nga, as of now, wala pang current operations si SPNEC, but because bibigyan na siya ng operational capacity by its parent, so mas maaga rin na magre-record and magre-register ng net profit si SPNEC. And then also I learned na some institutional clients, hindi sila pwedeng mag-invest sa mga companies na wala pang net profit, and I think this will address that. So because magre-record na ng net income si SPNEC as early as this year, I think that will allow some institutional clients who believe in the stock to put their money in this company. So I think that will expand yung investor base ng SPNEC. And then lastly, because lalaki yung market cap ni SPNEC kasi nga mag-i-issue ng new shares, And then there will be a planned SRO and a potential FOO afterwards. We think market cap will reach around mga 90 billion. So because of this, because of its sheer size, we think it will be a potential candidate to join the indices such as the PSCI, MSCI, and the FTSE. So I think this is also a huge positive again for the stock, no, because being included in these indices will somehow improve its marketability, because yung ibang funds, they only buy stocks that are part of the indices. So I think this will even improve yung marketability and yung liquidity ni SPNEC. So we really expect significant further potential upside for this stock moving forward. And the next slide, please. Okay, now we'll discuss the valuation that will incorporate the share swap and the upcoming equity share issuances. So first, in one of the latest disclosures of SPNEC, they mentioned Lian, the owner of the SPNEC, Mr. Leandro Leviste. He mentioned that he is targeting a target value of 15 million pesos per megawatt by 2025. Now, if we'll factor in the pipeline project of 10,000 megawatts of solar plant capacity, and also the pro forma outstanding shares of around 37.4 billion, this actually implies a target fair value of 4 pesos for the long term. So if you'll compare that with the IPO price and the last closing price, it is actually twice the current more than 2 times the current price, and even actually 4 times the IPO price. So we really see significant upside potential moving forward for the stock due to the share swap. The next slide, please. After discussing the fair value for the computation for the fair value, I think it's important to also mention some caveats that may move the target price either downward or upward. So first, as a positive risk, we think the 15 million pesos per megawatt valuation is actually quite conservative, because back in 2020, Razon actually purchased a stake in the Tarlac solar project of Solar Philippines at around 30 million pesos per megawatt. And we think so actually itong 15 million pesos na to is even half of that, no, yung last purchase ni Razon dun sa stake ni Tarlac solar project by Solar Philippines. So and ang project ang power supply agreement ng Tarlac solar project to Meralco is just around 2.99 per kilowatt hour. This is way lower than yung current spot prices that we are seeing now. Current spot prices are now at 5 pesos. So, and because we think there's a growing premium being attached to renewables nowadays, and because spot prices have gone up significantly, we think yung valuation of 15 megawatts has a lot of room to go up. So we think this actually quite conservative. And also, yung 4 pesos na na-compute natin earlier, this actually doesn't include yet yung land value, yung land bank ng SPNEC, no? So we believe yung magiging land bank ni SPNEC would be worth north of 50 billion pesos. So hindi pa to kasama dun sa computation natin. So kapag sinama natin to, this will even push our target price even higher kapag sinama tong land value. And then there are also some risks that might pull our target price lower. So first is in most of SPNEC's disclosures, they keep mentioning partnerships. So we think these partnerships can possibly dilute the ownership stake and attributable capacity of SPNEC in some projects. So ayun nga, kapag kapag tumanggap ng partnership si SPNEC sa pipeline project niya, pwedeng hindi yung buong 10,000 megawatts yung magiging attributable to SPNEC. It can be lower. Pero we don't know yet for sure kasi nga we have to wait for further announcement from the company. Pero ang risk nga is kapag nag-entertain ng kapag accept ng partnership, pwedeng mas maliit sa 10,000 megawatts ang magiging attributable to SPNEC. And then last, there can be potential dilution due to additional share issuances. So sa mga disclosures din, parang nagbibigay ng hint yung company na besides the SRO, baka magkaroon pa ng FOO and private placement moving forward to help the company reach its aspiration of 10,000 megawatts. So yung etong additional share issuances might lead to potential dilution. So it's a possibility. So we think that's one of the risks that might pull our target price lower. So next slide please. So because of maraming developments na tayong ina-expect moving forward, such as the SRO, the share swap, and the potential FO and private placement, siguro it will be helpful to look at its prospective capital structure. So currently, meron tayong 8.1 billion outstanding shares. Now, 2.4 billion of that is owned by the public, which results to a public float of 29.5%. Now, post-SRO, magdadagdag ng around 1.9 billion shares that will be offered to the public, which will bring the outstanding shares to around 10 billion, and the public will own 4.3 billion or around 42.8% of the total outstanding shares. Now, post-share swap, there will be new shares issued around 24.4 billion new shares that will be issued to the parent. So that will further increase the outstanding shares to 34.4 billion, while the public's ownership will stay at around 4.3 billion, and it will go down to 12.4%. So this 12.4% is actually lower than the minimum public ownership for SPNEC. Actually, they are required to maintain a public ownership of around 20%. And to remedy that, we believe the company will also conduct a potential FOO or private placement of at least around 3.2 billion shares, which will bring the outstanding shares to around 37.6, and then the public will own around 7.5 billion, which is exactly 20% of the public float, 20% of public float. So with this, it will satisfy the minimum public ownership for SPNEC. So next slide, please. So for our next slide, for our last slide, actually, this we will discuss the recommendation. So as you can see with the caveats, so parang there's a lot of moving parts pa, no? There are a lot of things to consider that might move the target price in either way. So there are some considerations that might improve our target price, or there are also some risks that might pull our target price lower. But one thing's for sure, the final valuation should be way higher than its current market price. That's a certainty. Kasi yun nga, yung 1.96 na kinumpute natin initially, wala pa yung share swap dun eh. So yung share swap will increase yung capacity ni SPNEC by 20 times. So you can imagine na kung gaano kalaki yung magiging epekto niya sa target price natin. Pero for now, we can consider the 4 peso per share as our long-term target price now. But it will change once we get more details from the company. So the 4 pesos per share target price implies significant upside potential in holding SPNEC for the long term. So there are actually a lot to look forward to in this company. So the SPNEC, the share swap is actually a game changer, as we said earlier, and it will really spice things up even further for SPNEC. And we think this is a huge reason for the investing public to put more attention to SPNEC, especially with the ongoing global megatrend towards renewables. So with that, I end my presentation. Thank you so much for taking the time to listen to our event today.
Thank you so much, Herman. Herman, ano yung ibig sabihin ng lots of moving parts? Makulit ba yun? I'll just I'll just put this the recommendation for everyone. So, can you tell us ano ba yung ibig sabihin when you say lots of moving parts?
Kasi we showed earlier na yung 4 pesos per share ay yung magiging long-term target price natin. Pero may mga pwedeng mangyari pa afterward na pwedeng mabago, yung pwedeng magbago sa 4 pesos. Pwede yung paakyatin, even higher, or pwede yung pababain to 4 pesos. So that's what we mean by lots of moving parts. Ito yung diniscuss natin sa caveat, no? Na conservative nga, yung 15 million pesos per megawatt. So pwede pa siyang iakyat actually. And then hindi pa kasama yung land bank which we estimate to be at least 50 billion pesos. So kung ipapasok pa natin to, it should be higher than for 4 pesos yung target price natin. Pero yun nga, there are also some risks to consider that can pull our target price lower, which is yung partnerships, because these partnerships can dilute yung ownership stake ni SPNEC sa mga projects niya. So yung 10,000 megawatts na pipeline niya, pwedeng lower than that yung maging attributable capacity niya because of the partnerships. And that can bring our target price lower. And also yung ayun nga, the company hinted na there can be more share issuances in the future. So since the dami pa yung outstanding shares, it might lead to potential dilution, which can bring our target price lower. So that's what we mean by lots of moving parts, kasi marami pang kailangan i-consider.
Okay, I think the viewers would also we would like to probably ask if what they're holding on right now is the development that will be coming in, the like the SRO, the share swap, will be something that will be positive to their portfolio. Tama ba? Yun ba yung what the main message that we want to say to the audience, Herman?
Of course. Yes, correct.
So ngayon, so don't be rattled in all the numbers that we're saying. I know that there are still some things that we need to publish on the coming days. But for now, Herman mentioned that no need to worry about your SPNEC shares. And you can start sending in your questions right now. All right. So, from Pons TZ. Sorry, medyo late ako naka-attend. Galante po ba mag-dividend si SPNEC? How po ang transmission sa end user? Same transmission din ng coal energy source?
Okay. Thank you for that question. In terms of dividend, from what I remember sa prospectus nila, I think ang target nila is around mga 20% payout ratio of the prior year's net income. Pero when it comes to companies like this, yung mga nagfo-focus sa expansion, dividends is actually one of their lesser priorities, no? Kasi they would want the funds to be invested back to the company, kasi nga they have this aspirational target of around 10,000 megawatts. So I think ang magiging focus talaga ni management, more than the dividends, is to invest the funds back to the company to maintain the growth trajectory of the company. Pero yeah, to answer your question, I think ang target nila is around 20% payout ratio.
All right. Moving on to the next question.
Ay, yeah, sorry, hindi pala ako nasagot. How po ang transmission? Okay, yeah, I think it would be the same transmission naman. So dadaan pa rin siya sa NGCP and then sa Meralco. So it would be the same now.
Okay, sige lang. Next question from Patrick Eran. Oh, hi, Patrick. Patrick, just to let you know, Herman, is one of our clients who got viral on TikTok and that pushed us to have a TikTok account. We realized. So, later tonight, isi-segue ko na since nandito si Patrick, at 8 p.m., we will be live in TikTok, launching with the newest influencer that will cater yung mga creative talents. So, she has a following of 100,000 in TikTok. We will be her guest. And yun nga, thanks to Patrick kasi his videos has gone viral, teaching people what is the stock market, and we will do that also. So for those people who are in here, follow us on TikTok. It's My Trade Talk. Okay, Patrick, is it okay to buy now or subscribe to the SRO? Ibig sabihin, kung hindi siya nakahabol ng IPO, yung current price ba ngayon is still safe to enter?
Hi Sir Patrick, ayan sobrang amazing no sa followers no sa TikTok. And thank you for being viral. And Sir Patrick, thank you for your question. Yun, as we mentioned earlier, our parang long-term target price for this, considering yung target fair value ng company is around it's around 4 pesos, no. So that would imply that it's good to hold SPNEC for the long term. So if you're a long-term investor, it is okay now to buy SPNEC. And also, as we said, we are more likely to recommend and subscribe to the SRO pending the final details. So yeah, for the long term it's okay to buy now, pero when it comes to entry point will have to rely on siguro technical analysis for that. But for the long term, it's okay to buy now.
Okay, so fundamentally, you can still buy it. All right, next question.
Ano pala, sorry. Nag-message si Pia, according sa prospectus, ang payout ratio daw is around 10 to 30%. Thank you, Pia.
All right. Thanks, Pia. Next question. What's our next question? Yan, dumadami na. At may mga nag-share ng TikTok account. I just don't know if that's ours. Alright, from Bet Aspe Bautista, para po sa mga conservative investors, pwede po bang mag-invest dito? Ayun, again, kanina, sinabi ni Herman na is still recommended by, tama Herman?
Yes,
For
yes, correct.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
And renewable energy is the future. So we're really excited na imaginein mo kung aandar yung sasakyan mo nang dahil sa tirik ng araw. Of course, damang-dama mo yan ngayon na gaano kamahal ang gasolina. Well, we don't know, but yeah, renewable energy is the future. Next question. From Jerry Chua, what is the projected attributable capacity of SPNEC by 2025?
Well, as we mentioned earlier, ang aspirational target nila is around 10,000 megawatts by around 2025 to 2026. Pero when it comes to attributable, we can't tell yet for sure kasi nga they'll be welcoming in partnerships to join in. So there's a possibility that the attributable capacity will be lower than 10,000 megawatts. So for the exact figure, we just have to maybe wait and see for further for more announcement from the company. But as of now, ang target is 10,000 megawatts by 2025 to 2026.
All right, so we move on to the next question. From Surene, is it correct to read the press release? The March 17 SPNEC will be allowed to start developing SP projects it does not yet own, using proceeds from the accelerated SRO. So,
Ay, si Sir Rene pala to. Yeah, actually, the disclosure just got published yesterday. Actually, medyo nagulat ako doon. Because nung una, ang plano nila ay share swap muna and then SRO. And then biglang nabago, no? Parang iuunahin na nila yung SRO. And then saka na lang susunod yung share swap. And it actually says there na, as we discussed this din kanina, yung use of proceeds is actually quite interesting kasi yung paggagamitan is actually not yet under SPNEC. So it will be used to develop yung 4,000 megawatt pipeline ni Terra Solar, which is a joint venture firm between Solar Philippines Group and Prime Infra, which is a company under Razon. So this actually not yet under SPNEC, but Solar Philippines Group gave the go-ahead signal for SPNEC to develop yung projects na hindi pa under ng SPNEC. So yeah, so ayun nga Sir Rene, I think the Solar Philippines Group gave the green light for SPNEC to develop yung projects ni Terra Solar kahit wala pa siya under SPNEC. Pero which we expect to be later on to be infused into SPNEC due to the share swap.
All right. Thank you, Sir Rene. You can make a follow-up question kung meron ka pa. Right now, we are about 223 viewers. Good afternoon, everyone. Thank you for tuning in My Trade Wink. If you are watching us from YouTube, please subscribe and click the notification bell so you'll be notified on our next live. All right, moving on to the next question. From Melson Lozano, how will you address the problem with the agricultural lands being used, eaten up by the solar industry? I think na-mention to during the IPO presentation or the WINK presentation of what type of lands the SPNEC has. Alam ko na-mention to ni Lian. Can you tell us, tell that to the viewers, Herman? So they
Yeah,
will
actually,
be...
meron nga nagtanong na client nung sa previous na Wink event, no? And what I remember is that as shared by Pia also, na yung land na ginamit na kinonvert from agricultural to industrial, it was actually not suited for agricultural because due to lack of access to irrigation. So that's why it was converted to industrial because parang mas mapapakinabangan yung lupa in that way. So I think this will be the attitude moving forward for the Solar Philippines Group sa pagpili ng land na gagamitin nila for inputting up the solar plant projects.
Yeah, which is I think very smart kasi marami akong nakikita like if you have tried driving from to the north, maraming mga empty lots na fields na hindi na natataniman because sobrang dry na, sobrang acid na ng lupa. And it's one way of making jobs and
Yeah.
mapagkakakitaan dun sa area na yon. So yun, don't worry Melson, it's something that is not being used or not for agricultural anymore. Next question. From Danilo Reyes, Elvinia, ano po ang nangyari sa 500 megawatt project nila sa Nueva Ecija?
Yeah. Okay. Thanks, Sir Danilo, for the question. I think this is still on track naman. So the IPO proceeds are still being used to construct yung phase 1A, which is yung 50 megawatts. And I think the company is still on track to reach yung 500 megawatts na Nueva Ecija project by 2023. So I think they're still keeping through with their plans sa prospectus. And I think they also shared na by 2023 they are targeting around 1,000 megawatts of operational capacity, which includes yung 500 megawatts ni Nueva Ecija, yung 63 megawatts ni Calatagan, 100 megawatts ni Tarlac, and other development projects that will come online.
Okay. May naisip ako, Herman, kasi while you're answering Sir Danilo's question, ang daming nagpo-follow sa TikTok, hinahanap yata tayo. So I'll be giving the first 20 dito sa viewers natin who will follow My Trade Talk will get their usernames and we will send you the flip calendar, yung parang nasa likod na Herman na yon. Later, mamaya kunin namin yung mga names and your username nyo. Para later at 8 p.m. in the TikTok live, you'll be there with us. All right, we'll move on to the next question. Daming segue. Next, si Bayaw. Of the 10 gigawatts forecasted output, are they still talking about an installation cost of $400,000 per megawatt?
Okay. Thank you, sir, for the question. Yeah, I think this is really one of their competitive advantage. Yung having the cheapest capex per megawatt, which is $400,000 per megawatt. So I think for their projects, they will still tap yung EPC arm nila, yung in-house EPC arm nila, in order to minimize cost and also to stay competitive, no, as especially since ang dami ding renewable companies that are coming online now. Yan sila Raslag and then sila Sun Asia and others. So SPNEC has to continue tapping its in-house EPC team under the Solar Philippines Group in order to stay competitive. So I think magiging consistent pa rin naman itong capex na to na $400,000 per megawatt.
Ayan. Next question. Thank you so much, guys, for sending in your questions. From Lemsky to Dodsky, may energy storage po ba si SPNEC?
Thank you, sir or ma'am. Sorry, hindi ako sure. Thank you for the question. For now, wala pa si SPNEC na battery storage. Pero I think kasama siya sa pipeline project ni Solar Philippines Group. Kasama siya doon under, I think, Terra Solar. So, but it will be included in the pipeline that will be infused into SPNEC. So later on, magkakaroon din si SPNEC ng battery storage.
So it's already in the pipeline. It's good to hear. Next question. From Christopher. May plano po ba ang SPNEC na makipag-partner kay ASEN in the near future?
Okay. Thank you, Sir Chris, for the question. The short answer is yes, but hindi lang actually with ASEN, with Prime Infra and Kepco and ayun si ASEN, and with other companies then, possibly with AP also. So SPNEC has made its intention to really welcome partnerships in trying to reach its aspirational target of 10,000 megawatts. So going back to your question, yes, they are open to I think they are planning to have a partnership then with ASEN with one of their projects.
Okay, meron pa ba? Ayan, may follow-up si Sir Rene. Hindi kaya apektado ang costings by the global commodity price surge? Yung sangkaterbang investors na kakailanganin, di kaya maging mas mahal?
Okay, thank you, Sir Rene, for the question. Actually, I already asked this to management before the IPO. So back then, there was a surge in silicon prices. I think it was photo silicon, and it is actually one of the parts, or one of those that are needed in order to put up the solar panels. And then so I asked that question if it will have an effect on their capex per megawatt of $400,000 per megawatt. So they said na yung capex budget nila of $400,000 per megawatt, meron na siyang allowance kumbaga. So kung meron man magkakaroon ng pagtaas ng presyo dun sa mga inputs, they can still parang stay within their capex budget of $400,000 per megawatt. Pero I think this global commodity surge is also unprecedented. So it's possible that we might see a slightly higher capex per megawatt. So I think that's also possible, sir. Pero it shouldn't be just it shouldn't be specific lang to SPNEC, no. So other companies will also be affected, other renewable companies. So it's not just SPNEC, but I think SPNEC will be the least affected because of their cost advantage.
Ayan. Let's move on to the next. Okay, from Hyperbots. Do the company plans to give dividend or engage to a REIT?
Thank you, sir, for the question. As we mentioned earlier, they're targeting a payout ratio of 10 to 30% of prior year's net income. Pero for me, if you're gonna ask me, I think it will be closer to 10% because in my opinion, most of the magiging, as I mentioned earlier, most of the funds, magiging priority niya is to be invested back to the company, no, to support yung target expansion ni SPNEC to reach 10,000 megawatts. So I think for now, in the medium term, magiging mas priority ni company is expansion than giving out dividends. So when it comes to engaging sa REIT, for this one, I don't have any idea with this yet. So we may have to wait for further pronouncements from the company. So
ayan. So do we still have other questions left? Meron pa ba? Thank you so much. Mukhang that's it. This is gonna be a quick wink for us today. Ayan. So while we have seen the presentation, if you weren't able to get the ayan, meron pa, may susunod. Pero if you weren't able to get or to start this, pwede niyong i-drag to if you're watching on YouTube or mamaya i-replay.
Hmm.
Alright. From
Okay.
Sir Rene again, na-file na ba sa
Na-file na ba si
SEC
Seth?
ang increase in ACS?
Last time I checked, I think it was already filed and they're just waiting for approval from SEC. Kaso parang nainip ata si SPNEC. So gusto na nilang mag-push through with the SRO that will involve yung current unissued authorized capital stock, which just amounts to around 1.9 billion shares. No? Nung una, ang gusto nila i-issue is around 5.1 billion SRO shares, pero since ayun nga hindi pa na-expand yung ACS, they'll just they'll have to stick to around 1.9 billion shares to be issued for SRO. So just think ko ayun nga yung as mentioned by the company, yun muna yung i-issue nila as SRO since hindi pa na-approve yung expansion in ACS.
Okay. Going once. So we got the question. We already got the followers, and we will get their names later.
Yung
Here
dami pang
also,
questions.
meron pa yata, pero after nito, Herman, mamimigay din tayo sa
Okay.
audience natin today ng calendars. I think meron pang 5. We can check 5 viewers today. All right. So next question. From Sibayaw, are you aware of any general debt financing options available now for the construction of the projects?
Okay. Thank you for the question. General debt financing options available now. Okay, for now, I think hinihintay muna natin na ma-construct yung phase 1A because that will prove na viable yung projects ni SPNEC, and then later on saka I think saka magkakaroon ng confidence yung banks to lend money to SPNEC once magawa na tong phase 1A. And we think kapag napasok na yung SPNEC kapag napasok na yung share swap and yung assets na ipapasok kay SPNEC because of the company's resulting market cap, and ayun nga, since malaki yung ilalaki ng company, I think banks will be more open to lending to SPNEC. But for now, I think wala pang na-mention si company about debt financing options. So wala pang specific details on that. But for sure, I think they'll be able to borrow money from the bank.
Okay.
For now, what they're looking for financing sources is yung mga share issuances like SRO, and then potential FOO and private placement for now.
Okay,
Sir
next
Rene.
question. Meron pa ba? Sir Rene, ulit, meron bang nabanggit ang chairman about investing in project abroad?
I think tatanong to sa kay Mr. Leviste. And he said, I think he was open to that option, pero wala pang binigay na concrete details as to when and as to what specifically. But I think he is open with that.
All right. Meron pa ba hahabol?
Okay.
Alright, from Hyperbots, the 1.95 per share SRO is not anymore the price. So just
okay. Actually, ayun yung inaasahan namin na price nung una, no? Before the disclosure yesterday. So, kaso kasi itong 1.95 na to, it assumes na na-approve na yung pag-increase ng authorized capital stock ni SPNEC. Kaso ayun nga, medyo natatagalan ata, and gusto na ni SPNEC na mag-SRO even before the approval of the increase in authorized capital stock. So ang i-issue na nila, instead of 5.1 billion shares, I think ang i-issue na nila is around mga 1.8 billion shares kasi ayun na lang yung unissued nila na authorized capital stock, and wala pang binanggit na target proceeds kasi so we cannot yet derive yung SRO price. So for now, I think 1.95 is off the table na. So wala na siya hindi na siya 1.95. And ayun nga, yung entitlement ratio na inaasahan namin noong una is around 2 SRO shares for every 1 SPNEC share. So which I think is medyo mabigat, medyo demanding. So I think it would be lighter now. It would be better for investors kasi I think ang magiging entitlement ratio is around 1 SRO share for every 1.5 SPNEC share. So that should be lighter.
Ayan. Meron pa ba? Meron bang... Ayan, may mga humahabol na questions. Ang last 2 minutes natin talaga laging may habol. And also, thank you for staying. We still have 200 audience. Crystal A, do we have electric vehicles news related to renewable energy forecasted supply? Meron na ba?
Do we have electric vehicles news related to renewable energy? Wala pa akong nabasa so far with regards to this. Ang mas nababasa, wala pa akong nabasa so far when it comes to this. But I think that's an interesting question to explore.
Siguro na-imagine niya yung joke ko kanina, yung sasakyan mo. Pagana na, hirit na araw. Okay, ako lang po yun.
Actually, there's an interesting question here from
Yeah,
MC Agasang. He's asking, kaya ba makipagsabayan ng SPNEC kay ASEN? So I think that's an interesting question. So I think we're confident na na ASEN has the SPNEC has the edge over ASEN because of yung cost advantage niya kasi yung capex ni SPNEC on a per megawatt basis is actually around half of that of ASEN. So kapag may ganun kang cost advantage, mas malaki yung magiging potential return mo kasi mas maliit yung pera mo na nilabas. So yun pa lang I think that's a very good selling point for us kay SPNEC. And also, if you look at the earnings quality ni ASEN, if you look at its latest financial statements, most of its earnings are just under other income, no? Kasi yung ibang earnings ni ASEN is just from investments sa preferreds ng ibang renewable companies. So hindi talaga sila yung nagmamanage itong companies na to. So in short, wala silang control. So yung profitability and management nitong companies na to are not on their hands. So parang sakay lang. Ganun. So hindi talaga sila yung nagmamanage. So ayan, you can look at ASEN's latest financial statement. So you can see na a huge portion of its bottom line net income is coming from other income instead of revenue sana. So which that is more that's more attractive. Whereas kay SPNEC, all of its projects will be managed by the group, no. So sila talaga yung may control ng projects. So the profitability of these projects is within their control, is on their hands. So ayun, so mas gusto natin na mas may control yung company kaysa mere investor lang sila. So as they always mention, they are a developer, they are a renewable developer, not an investor. So I think that's one of the strong reasons why we prefer SPNEC rather than ASEN.
Alright, sabi ni MC, thank you daw, Lods. Idol ka pala nito
Thank you, boss.
Alright. So, malalaman na lang natin ang mga susunod na information that will be, so make sure that you always read short takes. And if you are not yet a member of My Trade Map, you can actually ask the analysts such as Herman and others of the questions that you have in the market. Just post them and they'll be replying to you. So if you're not yet a member, for those who are already My Trade subscribers. Ayan. Thanks, Herman. And there you have it, guys. Thank you for tuning in for the hour, and I hope that we will make sure that our My Trade team will make sure to update you of any developments that will happen. So feel free to comment and give us feedback or recommend companies or topics that you would like for us to cover. And then see you later in a whole new world of TikTok with the launch of our newest influencer for creative people. So she has a following for all those who are doing creatives. So you can check Miss Kia Abrera in TikTok. So watch out for that 8 p.m. later at TikTok Live. And we have mentioned the reward program that will be launching soon, supposed to be this month. Wait lang kayo, we're just finalizing the program to make it worth your while. And as we close, we'd like to remind everybody to don't just buy or sell in a blink. Sometimes you just have to pause and think, or simply click our Facebook link and be updated whenever we tip the wink. Thank you so much and good afternoon and stay safe, guys. Bye.